whatever milestones that Black people make against hate, it ends up benefiting all the other people of color. I can't see what his end game is. The Republican Party is the party of racism, is the party of white supremacy, is the party of hate. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
Everybody wants to go back and drag that piece of history up, but they don't want to go back and deal with what their ancestors did to the indigenous people and to Black people in this country. You got to go. And you got billionaires talking about going to space and Jeff Bezos. Go! Never come back. I hope you get lost. This man has lost his mind.
Boom! Come on, girlfriend. I never get tired of that opening. I never get tired of it. It's so good because it's so Aisha and Jill. It's just so to the core of who they are. Welcome, everybody. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and I am the co-host and co-producer of the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And as always, I like to say, you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting. Usually we do it on Saturday nights, but we're doing a one-off here. This is July 31st, Sunday. And I think the summer has been nice and slow. Other people saying it's flying by, but I think summer's been just a nice pace. And it's like half over, but the days are getting shorter because the sun is setting earlier. But you know what? Don't matter if it's Saturday, don't matter if it's Sunday or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, as long as we have, let's say, all these three ladies on, it's a good thing. So we are back with State of Things with Aisha and Jill. We got Aisha K, we got Jill, and we got Lala. We hijacked her back from her trip. My God, my God, my God, we got her back from her trip. Ladies, what is going on?
Great.
It is. You're doing
Everything's
great.
really good. Yeah.
Good.
So far, so good.
Well, are you on vacation, Aisha?
Yes, this week I'm on vacation, so I'm just kind of like.
Very nice. Love the glasses. Love the glasses on you, by the way.
Thank you.
They do look good.
They do. So, lots of things going on in the world, but hey, let's catch up on things. Lala.
Yes.
Where did you escape to?
We went, when I say we, hubby and I went to Portugal, and it is an amazing and wonderful place. If you want to just woosah, you need to get away from America because we can get so tied up into the garbage that is put into us every day on the news. And just today I had to put my phone down, another shooting. You know, every day is a shooting. It's now a daily occurrence. Over there, I was able to put it away and enjoy the culture, enjoy my husband, create memories.
Enjoy my husband.
Yeah. Believe it or not, we celebrated 29 years this year, this week. Yo,
so nice.
That's my honey bunny.
That's congratulations.
So what's the secret?
You know, my mother told me this when I was a little girl, and I just kept it in my head. She said, you're always going to fall in and out of love in your relationship. I don't care how long you be. There are some days that you just want to box and go goodbye.
Right.
But on those days, you have to remember why you wanted to marry that person in the first place. Go back to that happy place and work it out. And we do.
That's true. I agree with that.
That's interesting. There's a gentleman who I respect very much named George Fraser, wrote a book many years ago called Success Runs in Our Race. Amazing book. And he's 78 years old. And he says, I've been married to the same sister for 44 years. And he was asked the other day, what's the secret of the long marriage? And he says, amnesia. Going, what do you mean? Because you know what? There are going to be things you do.
And
most of them are good, some of them are bad, and you just got to be able to forget them and let them go.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very wise answer to that question by an elder. So congratulations on
Thank
29.
you.
We're looking forward to 30. Do you have plans yet for your 30th trip?
Yeah, I think we do. We like to always kind of plan the big ones. So yeah, keep on track with that. We'll share that with you when we reach it.
All right. Jill Jones, we're not going to get too deep in it, but we got to chat about it. Now, if you're not following these ladies on Twitter, why not? Why are you not following them on Instagram? Why not? Don't understand. But Jill, you sent out a tweet from a clip from a movie that is now a little bit over 38 years old.
Crazy, right?
What movie was that clip
Crazy.
that
Purple
you were
Rain.
in?
Purple Rain. I mean, even I was shocked when I realized it's 38 years. That's crazy, right? 38.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, folks, we can spend the whole conversation on that, but we said, no, we're not going to do that.
No,
because
another time.
Jill, before we went live, she gave some great backstories, and you will be going, OMG. Some of these stories, OMG. So I
mean,
said,
the cool thing is looking at your 22-year-old self, and going, wow, this is
that blonde
mad.
hair, Jill. That blonde, where I'm going, where'd that come from?
I know. The fact of, having it blonde all the time, because you have to do it all the time. It's a lot.
Got it. Well, we haven't been live for 2 weeks, so there's enough to catch up on.
Lot.
Yes, and we're going to chat about some things. Family, if you want things for us to comment on, put it in the chat, please and thank you, because I know there's some things we've left off the slate. But hey, put them on and see if we have time to chat about. But I think the first thing we want to chat about is this. Now, before we talk about this, I want to show the video. So I'm going to see if we can show the video of Will apologizing for the slap, and then we're going to go into it. So, the ladies have to talk about the slap. So let's see if this will play. I'm crossing my fingers it's going to play okay. All right, so let's see if we can make this happen. Here we go.
Why didn't you apologize to Chris in your acceptance speech? I was fogged out by that point. It's all fuzzy. I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out. So I will say to you, Chris, I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk. I want to apologize to Chris's mother. I saw an interview that Chris's mother did, and that was one of the things about that moment. I just didn't realize, and I wasn't thinking, but how many people got hurt in that moment. So I want to apologize to Chris's mother, and I want to apologize to Chris's family, specifically Tony Rock. We had a great relationship. Tony Rock was my man. And this is probably irreparable. I spent the last 3 months replaying and understanding the nuances and the complexities of what happened in that moment. And I'm not going to try to unpack all of that right now, but I can say to all of you, there is no part of me that thinks that was the right way to behave in that moment. There's no part of me that thinks that's the optimal way to handle a feeling of disrespect or insults. After Jada rolled her eyes, did she tell you to do something? No. It's like, I made a choice on my own, from my own experiences, from my history with Chris. Jada had nothing to do with it. I'm sorry, babe. I say sorry to my kids and my family for the heat that I brought on all of us. To all my fellow nominees, this is a community. It's like I won because you voted for me, and it really breaks my heart to have stolen and tarnished your moment. I can still see Questlove's eyes. It happened on Questlove's award, and it's like I'm sorry really isn't sufficient. What would you say to the people who looked up to you before the slap, or people who expressed that you let them down? So there's two things. One, disappointing people is my central trauma. I hate when I let people down. So it hurts. It hurts me psychologically and emotionally to know I didn't live up to people's image and impression of me. And the work I'm trying to do is, I am deeply remorseful, and I'm trying to be remorseful without being ashamed of myself, right? I'm human, and I made a mistake, and I'm trying not to think of myself as a piece of shit. So I would say to those people, I know it was confusing. I know it was shocking. But I promise you, I am deeply devoted and committed to putting light and love and joy into the world. And, if you hang on, I promise we'll be able to be friends again.
Okay. I heard some people sort of sighing. I think Aisha heard you sign. Okay, what's everyone's take?
Those funds are drying up.
Oh, you're
All
not
those deals are
going
drying
there.
up. Honestly, I do. I think it's that, and I think it's also his legacy. Think about, as he was talking, I was thinking about one of the last times we really saw James Brown publicly before he died was that arrest photo of him, and that ends up being the last image of him, the arrest photo and him beating his wife. That ends up becoming the last image that you see of person, and it becomes a larger part of their legend than anything else they did prior. And that's where he is right now. It's because people are going to forget how groundbreaking Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was, or any of his movies, or Independence Day, how that opened and had such that big opening. It's going to be the slap. Because if you Google Will Smith, the only thing that really comes up is the slap. So I think he's trying to preserve his legacy.
Huh. I mean, I personally think that he's struggling with it. I think it's really important for him as a person to feel exonerated or forgiven. I think he's that guy. I don't think he can stay mad at people for a long time, and nor does he like people to be mad at him. And in light of how messed up the world is at the moment, yes, it was terrible. It was something that perhaps, if we look at it on a bigger picture ourselves, maybe it was just time to, see people for how people really are. They got a tremendous amount of stress on them every day. I don't really know what has gone on between him and Chris Rock all along. And before I was really, really, thinking this is terrible, this is a horrible thing. You and the wife, and there's some relationship problems, and the main thing is that he sorts it out, that he doesn't continue to keep feeling like he's obligated to being this people pleaser, because being a people pleaser is kind of what's put him in this position. That's all of this. Still, I think it might have been too soon to do this and to talk about Chris Rock and the rejection of Chris Rock saying he wants to wait on it. But I think it's very important for him to, he doesn't feel fulfilled. And the only people putting pressure on him with images and everything is him, because he's been so meticulous about his image and how he wanted to appear positive and all this other stuff. Nobody told him to do that. He did it. So the person that he's the most disappointed with is himself. And, in light of hearing that a Russian soldier cuts a person's balls off the other day, the slap was nothing. And they should get over it at this point. It's, I mean, honestly, on a bigger thing, these are two African-American men that are going to go down in history as representatives in our culture. And we just need them to come back together and be solid for whatever the purpose is, and maybe not make it fodder, like, biscuit eating giggles. I'm kind of over all that right now. There's some really heavy things going on in the world. And I don't think anybody's as hard on him as he is on himself. I truly believe that. And he won't let go of his wife, and he won't let go. We don't know what that is. I think there's a part of that works together in something. But I don't know. I'm not in their relationship. And you know what? I think he's a great actor, and I hope that I get to see him making movies again.
I'm kind of on the same page with Jill on that. I call me the sensitive little Pisces. I'm always going to be an emotional person. I also come from a people-pleasing place. Many times in my life, a lot of my pain came from abandonment and wanting to be perfect and making sure that I was the good little girl to always be liked or fit in somewhere when I really didn't fit in and didn't really need to. I mean, I had my own life, but when you're a kid, you just think that's what it is. But I think all of his body language was saying the right thing. I have studied body language quite extensively. And I don't think that he was making any of that up. The only thing that I did discuss with my husband, because I wanted to get somebody else's opinion on it, is the only thing that I didn't care for is if Chris wasn't ready to talk to him. I don't think that it was appropriate for him to come live to the world and say he was sorry to Chris. Chris already told you he's not open to it. So that needs to be a man and man thing. Let's get together as men when we're both ready, and then we'll address it. Don't just put it out there and be like, bleh, here it is.
He has issues with that, it seems.
Yes.
That's his problem, the boundaries of others.
Yes.
That to me was the problem with the apology too, is that Chris already told you how he felt. There was no need for you to blast it to the world.
Because now we're all looking at Chris like,
permission.
What are you doing, Chris?
Without his permission.
What happened today? What was in the news today? Oh, well, Chris is just moving on and making jokes about it on stage. Look at what you've done.
Yeah. This is a sit down. They need to, they need a sit down. I guess if Muhammad Ali was here, he'd probably have a dinner and they can hash it out. But we need an elder to come in and really elder somebody.
I mean, if Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier could get along, the Rumble in the Jungle, these
Yes.
I actually think Denzel would be a really good one.
That could be good. I mean, because I don't want to. We don't have that many of our guys out there. We don't need to see them fighting. And they're too good and too accomplished at what they do. But yeah, he is pushy. That is one of his problems. And yeah, he should have respected, because he put everybody on blast. It's just like, now, damn, I have to deal with it, whether I wanted to or not. And that's that. If he goes back to therapy, he'll see that wasn't cool.
Right.
He took away.
But it could be money too. It could be like there's a sense of urgency, because there might be, most of these people live beyond their means. Yeah. Even when, it's millions and millions, they've got mortgages that are up the the wazoo. And A lot of
I
things.
was very happy that he did address and apologize to Questlove, because
Mm-hmm.
that was Quest's moment. And it was a big moment. What he was being celebrated for was an absolute fabulous documentary.
Triumph. Yeah, it was.
So, yeah, you kind of took that away from him, but I appreciate the fact that he put it out there. And maybe he has talked to Quest. We don't know.
Right.
But whatever it is, at this point, I hope he finds peace. I hope these two brothers can come together, because if they do, it will also be an uplifting moment for our community and young men, especially, to see that no matter how hard you have done something wrong, you can repair and move on. I think it will be a good teaching moment for them, but it has to be genuine, no phony stuff.
Our community tends to forgive.
Aisha,
It's
go
the
ahead.
other ones that don't.
Aisha, you have something to say.
Well, I was just going to say that it's kind of like he took away Chris's choice. Chris's choice was not to talk to him about it.
Yeah.
And he's now put it out there. So now Chris has to talk about it
Yeah.
to media people who will come to him and ask him questions.
Horrible.
I think it was very self-serving at that point. I think he used that opportunity to kind of redeem himself in the
Great.
public eye. I mean, he said no. End of story. Stop pressing the issue.
I know. You know,
I think from a black man's perspective, yeah, I'd like them to make up, and it's just indirectly we're talking about elders. R.I.P. Bill Russell today, right? So
I know.
you know, such
And
such
Nichelle Nichols.
Yeah.
All of our people. Yeah.
yeah, like Bill Russell, such an incredible champion of human rights and the first
Grace,
black
dignity, charm, everything.
Right. And I feel we've lost some of that.
Sportsmanship.
Yeah.
God,
Wonderful ball player.
Yeah. You know, and first black coach of a major sports team in North America.
I didn't know he was 89.
Wow.
88, 89. And so was Nichelle Nichols, was 80, almost 90 years old. I honestly was like, wow, well, I mean, I'm getting up there. So they certainly are further up than me. Shame.
Standard. So we've had comments come in. So let's bring them on. So Blue Rains is saying, good evening, everyone. Black Beauty is saying, happy Sunday, everybody. Tila, are you watching us on your big screen, Tila? Hello, lovely Aisha, Jill, and of course, Dr. Dive. And she also said, and lovely Lala. She goes, she loves Lala's shirt.
It's so great.
We got Maniac, happy Sunday. Love the t-shirts. It's like, man, I'm telling you.
I know.
Tim from Toronto area saying happy Emancipation Eve, because tomorrow it's Emancipation Day in Canada.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And Tila saying, remember Jill and Purple Rain when she looked at that application at the club and said, Apollonia?
Yes.
Iconic. Daquita says, hello, everybody. Now we got some people talking about, so Almighty Baby, our friend, saying fake apology. He ruined an entire show for a lot of people. Nothing he says can change that. I'm unimpressed.
Jen.
Maybe it's stuff that needs to come out. Sometimes when I think things are, when I get too stoic about things, it must be my water sign stuff too, comes into play where this can't be the hill I would die on. You know what I'm saying? There's just so much in the bigger scheme than the Oscars. The Oscars has needed revamping for ages. They've done some things in the past. Shoot, we could probably pick it apart that wasn't up to the level of the last generation or the generation before. So, you know, I can't go there. The fact that it happened there is what, you know, in front of a bunch of white people is more for me the most upsetting, I think, because they still have the keys to the kingdom.
Of course.
And that was the hard part, because it's kind of like you don't want your kids. You know, I know I used to, you go places, you won't let your kids show out. Other people of a certain ilk let their kids show out, because if our kids show out, we're talked about. So that is very real thing. So for me, all of that was, you know, I was like, Will Smith, you got way too comfortable in this world that will spit you out in a second.
Well, he has to realize he was regarded in Hollywood as a safe black man, right?
what he did was he actually put himself on the level with Kanye West, because remember how Kanye West interrupted Taylor Swift?
Yes.
This was literally like the same
Yeah.
exact thing. And so he stole, and he stole a moment also from Questlove, like Kanye stole that moment from Taylor, but also Beyonce after, who went and gave Taylor her speech spot. So it's that kind of trajectory. I think that's where he's seeing himself go. Because remember, at the time when that happened with Kanye West, people were like, Kanye was kind of crazy because he's out there, but nobody thought he was loco crazy.
Christina says, I think people will move past it. Tila is saying, I despise celebrity stunts and celebrity worship. This well thought apology should have happened much earlier to anyone who wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he wasn't ready.
And everybody was trying to figure out if there were going to be lawsuits, probably.
You know,
lawyers, the amount of money that some people made off of this, it's crazy, from the magazines to the lawyers to the venue people. That's just how this nonsense turns into. We can't be doing that, because we've got to be bringing people together.
Absolutely. And yes, Tila says, yes, y'all on the big screen, all celebrity style and stuff. LOL.
We're going to have to do a red carpet.
Oh my goodness. But yes, so what I'd ideally like is if they were able for them to do a skit about this, like a comedy skit about it, if they could ever get to that. But
there was a great TV show called The Slap that I loved. And I think it was about a person hitting a child in a school situation or something. It was like, to save the child's life or something, there was a slap. You understand? Like, there was something that happened. Mm-hmm. And of course, everyone's like, oh my God, you hit my kid. It was a really good show about this Greek family. And, there's different cultural things, different. Sure. That was so when I see The Slap, I always think of that TV show, but I'm sure for everybody else, it's this one.
On Cinema, Canela says, hello, loving this Sunday special. Wonderful, wonderful. And Tila is saying, I'm surprised SNL didn't do a skit on The Slap, or did they? I don't hardly watch that show.
I think they're off for the
summer,
believe
aren't they did. No, but it happened
during
in March.
that?
I believe they did do some kind of variation of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me look it up. They must have.
No, they did. With I think it was Keenan who played Chris Rock and Jeff Red who played Will Smith.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, actually, I'm absolutely certain, because I think it was Harry Styles who was the musical guest or something like that. But yeah, I remember they did do that.
Yeah, I don't think we've heard the last of this. I think one other thing that makes me, this only happened like 3 or 4 months ago. It seems like forever.
Was it March or April?
March.
It's not that long ago.
Yeah, for almost 5 months. Yeah.
So Will, people are divided. Hey, and I put it on my YouTube page. If you want to go there, I have asked people, do you think the slap was sincere? Yes, no, don't know, or don't care.
The slap was sincere.
Not the slap, the apology. The apology. That's the first call.
He meant that slap. He meant it.
No, the apology. The apology. And now I know Tila, you did vote, so but anyone else, go to the YouTube page, and if you have a thought on it, it does say the apology, not the slap, by the way. Not like that. Come on now. So let's get to some stuff that Lala was happy to come back and see going on in her country.
Oh, yeah.
So, video
shake
show
you out of your slumber.
Fist bumping after blocking veteran health care bill.
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
It's like,
you know what? You need to send your kids, or you need to go yourself before our veterans, don't touch our veterans. Don't touch our veterans. But see, this just shows you just how dog they are in the first place. You don't do that to those who serve our country and who are the true heroes of this country.
I know.
You just don't.
Did I see old Hayseed Kennedy in there? Sorry.
I was going to say, the sick part about it is that they're is data to show that about 86%, it's estimated, of veterans are Republican.
Mm.
Oh, honey.
Here it is. These people, they don't want to protect you. They want to send you off to do the fighting on behalf of this country. And they do not want to protect you, protect your families. I mean, when you also look at things in terms of food insecurity among families of veterans, it's really, really bad. I mean, you have a lot of them receiving public assistance just to eat. And these are people who have served our country.
What was the reason for them to block it?
Because Representative Toomey is they tried to cobble together. This was after Jon Stewart had called them on the carpet, because there was a timeline where he just went ballistic.
Oh yeah,
because,
I was going to show it, but it was too many profanities. It's so long.
I mean, a few months ago, everything was fine. They all voted for, they knew, they were like, fine, they're going to vote for this. This is going to be fine. But because Joe Manchin of Virginia got on board with Build Back Better, sort of flipped,
right.
They believe that this is retaliation for them getting him. Exactly. So Toomey and Hayseed, Kennedy, and Cruz came up with this thing that you don't know what the Democrats did. That's always like, well, you don't really know. They did something backhanded. Well, from June 15th to the timeline that they knew that this bill was coming up until now, Jon Stewart was like, well, what was inserted? They're like, there's $400 billion that's not going to be accounted for, and it's just going to be all over the place, and they need a spending regulation. These people won't even regulate guns in this country, and they're going to, the Republicans, every time they have a possibility to be in office, they fleece this country. This is what they do. They're against the country. And Ted Cruz should not be a senator, just specifically for the fact that his father was Cuban. And secondly, Cuban in the sense that we don't know anything about them. He's from Canada, and he never served a day here.
Don't say that too loud, by the way.
He never served. These people, he's like a bad character from an Isabel Allende book I had written today, like in House of Spirits. He is the rich kid. He's the bad guy in a telenovela. That's Ted Cruz, easily. And they created this whole situation in order to actually be spiteful. But you got to say, this week, Chuck Schumer, everybody was talking about it today on Meet the Press. Chuck Schumer did not get played this week. It was actually he was running things this week. Really, he couldn't pull it together, but they didn't like that either. Mitch McConnell was the loser this week. His nose was not in everything. But Toomey made this up, and that's when everybody went crazy on him. But he'll come back around.
But it was a little bit deeper than that too, because it wasn't just that they got Manchin, is that when they got Manchin's vote, the key piece of that bill that they put in there was reconciliation. Mm-hmm. Which reconciliation puts them one step closer to getting rid of the filibuster. And if they got Manchin on board with that, the only person they have to flip is Kyrsten Sinema. And once Chuck Schumer finds out what it is that she wants,
the pharmaceutical stuff,
to vote for it, they will vote in reconciliation on overturning the filibuster. And at that point, if that happens, especially if it happens before the elections, then Republicans lose, and they know this.
Right.
And that's how deep all of it really goes.
But look at this, y'all. Come on. I don't care. I don't care. You're putting Americans and our veterans at the center of your pissing match.
And some of these people were drafted. Let's be honest, too. Some of them were not just volunteers. These are very older, elderly people suffering, and they are in their 80s and very old and very sick. And they were drafted. They didn't volunteer.
No.
And they just got fucked. So you're absolutely right. It's disgusting what's happening. But,
there's also another part of this bill that you have to also remember that makes it even more egregious. rolled in there is the protections and benefits and provisions for 9/11 emergency
First
workers
responders.
who were first responders who were breathing in all of those toxins,
And they're dying too.
sick and dying or have died.
Mhm.
They are basically telling those people, guess what? You killed yourself for nothing because
Right.
we don't care.
Right.
We're here, you're not.
So it really
I
will
got a
come
really
down.
good friend whose husband served in Desert Storm, and then I have a nephew as well. Both of them served, and they still aren't even being acknowledged for the crap they breathed in over there. They're sick,
Right.
and everybody's like, "What is that?" No, that's not included. That you can't claim disability for that. But they wait until they're almost dead before they say, "Oh, maybe we should pay you for it."
Well, they don't care. That's also, remember, they also are looking to spite our president as well. This was a bill he wanted
Yeah.
because he really believes that that's how his son got the blastoma, the one who died from the brain cancer, because they do these flash exercises in those. And he believes
those can trigger seizures and things. Yeah.
And that's how he feels he got myoblastoma. And he's been a very outspoken person about saying that he thinks this happened in the army. And I also feel that there's just a little bit of petty in all of them. But my whole thing is that we really need to understand that what has Ted Cruz done? He's in a state that he hasn't passed anything. He just stands in the way of everything. And in my opinion, I think Cruz is a spy for Russia. I just really get that feeling that he, who put him there? How does he stay there? And I don't think he's legit. I think he's going to wake up one day and realize. I mean, his own kids don't like him. His 12-year-old, 13-year-old daughter has been very outspoken against her own father. Hates him, in fact. So when the kids start hating their daddies, I'm like, okay.
But then again, remember, it got Kellyanne Conway's daughter a spot on American Idol, so it might be that kind of thing too.
It's true, but yeah, exactly.
So just go right back to the center. It all serving someone else instead of those who need to be taken care of.
So just to catch up here on some comments, Jen is saying, shameful. My father's a veteran, and this really made me so angry. Black Beauty, as a veteran myself, it's a slap in the face for those Republicans have dropped the ball on the veterans. So and it's funny, I don't know where it came up, but I was in a conversation with a group of people in the last week or so, and before this situation came up, and we said, you know what? If there's one thing America loves to death is their veterans.
Until it's time to take care of them. I mean,
you think so? I don't know. I see a ton of them on the street. Yeah, they haven't loved them for a long time. That's not true. Actually, to be honest with you, I think that's a fallacy. It used to be. But the old Republicans have, first of all, they usually have a lot of money. Their own kids don't volunteer to go. It's mainly Democrats, and really poor Republicans go to war or go and sign up. But they don't care about their veterans. There's people who are literally sleeping by the banks of the LA River, and they're veterans. Most of these Skid Row, where they walk them to death, they don't even let them sleep anymore. They just keep them walking around. There's Area 51 or something until they drop dead.
There's one veteran we see.
Hold on, let Alicia first. Go ahead.
I was going to say too that it also includes the veterans who died or got sick as a result of Agent Orange.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We're going back to Vietnam era, so it's not just these young ones who are coming out of this Afghanistan and Iraq war that took over the early part of the 2000s.
So we had a lot of African American people in that.
All of them, yes.
And we had a lot of Black people who served in that war, particularly.
Laura?
I think they drafted everybody they could and who was Black for the Vietnam War.
Only to ignore them when they came back. There's a gentleman that, I don't know, I guess I just kind of have a connection with, and he's always in the back of one of the gas stations that we go to. And he is a disabled vet from Vietnam. And, we always try to make it a point to go and give him some water or something. Mm-hmm. God, it's hot. And he's out there in heat. And he's always telling us, my government forgot about me. I really have a really shitty life, is what he said, because my government has turned its back on me. And that's disgusting to hear him from his own mouth say that, and just be sitting there in his wheelchair in the heat with nothing. It's like, at least give the man some water. He's done his service to the country. He should be taken care of.
Right.
Yeah.
And when they have people working in these offices that are supposed to help them, because some people have cognitive difficulties and just even in how they communicate, they put some of the most hateful people in these offices. They're hateful.
Yeah.
And they're not helpful.
Nope.
Be helpful, not hateful, if you're working in a government office. I don't give a shit who you are. I don't care how annoying somebody is in front of you. You work for the citizens of this country, but be helpful and not hateful, because that's what they do. They make judgments, they assume things. And these poor people have been on the streets since they came back. That's almost 40 years. Some of them have not been in a home, or they've lost their families or whatever. And then the craziest part is, there was a point where they used to always blame, these mass shootings are just angry veterans. No, bitches. Now y'all just got angry people who can't even go through the stamina of what a veteran has gone through and survived, and is still living on the streets in survival mode. It's disgusting. We've known this was the richest and most despicable country for a very long time. And the chickens have come home to roost.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear some of these stories because I'm on the board of the National Veterans Council for Legal Redress, which is, they primarily work with African-American veterans in my area. And, homelessness is one of the biggest issues. The government should, remember, they stopped the GI Bill in the 70s.
Yeah.
And
so they can't get houses, right?
Even when they had it, it was, there were, Black and brown people who still couldn't use it to buy homes because of all the redlining. So this government,
think about that, Dr. Vibe. She just said, not to cut you off, but we really need this to be brought back up. They stopped the GI Bill. That used to be the way that people would go and acquire home ownership in America. It was the only way Black people could get a house. And to this day, it's still the only way, even if they come back and say that they are getting paid from the government for being in the army. But to seriously deal with it, this country owes Black people like half, all of it, because it's wrong what they've done. It's really, I don't know how old white people, old ones, even look at themselves in the mirror. It's really pretty disgusting. And their young people are looking at them today, and that's why they're upset, because even their young people are like going, wow, you guys are really fucked up. My generation of boomers, I look at them and some of the ones coming under them, let's keep an eye on Manhattan Beach. They just got their stuff back. Let's see what those white people down there do.
Oh, yes.
Because they're going to do something. I just know it. Because they're racist as fuck in Manhattan Beach.
Yes.
I don't know a person who isn't racist who lives in Manhattan Beach.
That's right.
Low key, always like, don't move in. Newport Beach, same thing.
They don't even like Black agents down there.
No, they don't.
I never farmed that area, ever. Because I knew it was a waste of time and money.
So we have some comments here. Well, first of all, Jen and Black Beauty. Jen, thank you to your father for his service. And Black Beauty, thank you for your service. Also, Tila says there's a Stevie Wonder song about Black veterans called Frontline. And she takes a quote from it here saying, they had me standing on the front line. Now I stand in the back of the line when it comes to getting ahead.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So will the Democratic Party use this for the upcoming midterms? And should they?
No, because they're
They
weak.
should, they won't.
They won't. They're weak. Weak. Punk, punk, punk. Would you please stand up and show us your backbone? Because you don't have any. You have so many opportunities to show and push, and you did. Oh, the Republicans are so bad. Give us money. Give us money. No.
Yeah, they don't know how to fight. They don't know how to fight.
They don't have
Aisha,
lights.
Well, it always
Aisha,
seems that they're on the wrong issue at the wrong time. So, for example, it's the cultural issues right now, right, that are taking over the political sphere. But Democrats are too busy talking about the pocketbook issues, even though those are of issue. But if you fix the cultural part, the economic part will follow. And it just seems that when Republicans are focused on the economic part, like for example the tax breaks that Trump put in place, Democrats are focused on the social issues and the cultural issues,
Yeah,
and
the
it's kind of
tax
like
things are crazy. We're
you
getting
can't fight
hammered.
a cultural issue with a financial solution, and vice versa. And that's what they keep trying to do.
Term limits. That's my answer. Term limits. Get them out of there.
okay. Let's move on to the next conversation piece. Alex Jones attorney flips the middle finger to lawyer representing Sandy Hook victim families. And I know that periodically, Aisha, you bring up Sandy Hook because you are somewhat close in
To
proximity
it.
to it. What's Alex Jones all about?
Uh Gosh, he's really more, at this point it's more about pride, I think, than anything, because every time they go to court against him, he loses. And at this point, I guess he's just trying to go for broke, because the whole notion that the parents are crisis actors, that what we believe happened was a staged event, um it's sickening to my core, because I remember the day that that happened, and they shut down our entire state. Kids were in schools on lockdown across the entire state because they weren't even sure if it was more than one shooter. And just that fear as a parent. I mean, I was getting a blood transfusion that morning, and as I was in the hospital, one of the nurses, I wasn't like really paying attention because all I saw were the words "new," and well, I'm from New Haven, and that's gun wave in New Haven, so you don't,
Mm,
shootings are commonplace. But I heard a nurse with this blood curdling scream in the hallway, and my nurse came in. I'm like, "What's going on?" And she's just like, "No, there was a mass shooting at an elementary school, and her kids go to that school." And it just, for him to say that it was a made up event.
He deserves to
You
lose every dime.
and look, I did
Hey,
not lose a child. A friend of my sister, or associate of my sister, did
mm.
lose her daughter there. I I am not a victim that way, but I remember the fear that I felt that day. And it was like, I mean, I literally yanked an IV out my arm because I had to go get my kid. So
Wow.
for him to sit there and say that this was fake, no parent would knowingly do that.
But
It,
he didn't say
and
that the one that happened in Germany was fake. Was it
yeah,
Norway where it happened?
well,
And they were copying. It was a copycat to that
here's
one.
here's the other reason too that he was able to get away with it for so long, because the day after Sandy Hook happened, our state legislature was called into a special session. They wrote a law to seal those photographs from inside Sandy Hook for good.
Mm.
So, usually scenes of crimes and things like that get leaked either before or after. I know someone was telling me that the ones from the Charleston massacre have been leaked, but our state moved that quickly because they didn't want anyone to use it for exploitation purposes, and because these were kids. So, because no one can counter him with the proof, and what parent really wants to show the autopsy pictures of their dead child whose face is like liquefied to anyone to prove this did happen?
So anyway, Alex Jones's attorney is trying to just be like his client. And the reality is they want 76 million, I believe.
Who
Um,
does?
I don't know. I think that's what the number that's getting batted around, 76
Yeah.
million, or And, but Alex Jones, people seem to think that he's so well liked. I mean, don't forget, there was video of him last year in Austin, Texas at a barbecue restaurant, and the kids like laughed him the hell out of there. He was so angry, yelling at them, like going, "You don't know what's going on." And he like a meltdown. He's kind of shunned, but when he did that whole Sandy Hook thing, he got so many advertisers. That's how sick our country is, and the people who are in these corporations, and they piled on. And he kept the lie going. So then, he has pretended to divorce his wife to save his little coins. And as far as I'm concerned, they should set precedents and sue her ass too. Because the reality is his kids sucked up food and heat, and they were fed well. They went to school on the backs of dead kids' carcasses. Yeah. And I hope that his kids are always reminded that those parents at Sandy Hook, they paid for your life with theirs. Your fucking punk ass dad has basically hoarded the death of those kids. He basically, in some really weird way, screwed over a bunch of dead kids. It's so bad, dead dragging people's children. And he needs to lose everything that he owns.
Well,
and that's how I feel.
Remember in 2018 when they have him giving a deposition, and he said, I know the things I say aren't true.
Yes, he did say that. And there's no, but people, what? Oh, okay. But I'm sorry. That's like, if justice is not going to serve, one day people are just, and actually, to be honest with you, I think people are getting to the point where they're like, oh, justice will be served. Maybe not the way you want it to be served. Because I've often said that it seems like things haven't changed so much. When my mother, God rest her soul, had an encounter being assaulted by two men when she was a young woman, justice was served, just not the way that America was going to have justice served for a Black woman in this country. But I can tell you that it got served. There were probably some really sad people, but the shit got served. Because when you grow up in a climate where you don't believe that your country has your best interests, unfortunately, what unravels, that's some country ass shit that goes on when you do stuff like that. And having grown up in the country, that's what it's like. But they have allowed it to perpetuate in our cities and everything. Things are not being handled, not being taken care of. And people will start taking care of it, matters into their own hands, sadly.
Alex Jones says it was one time all a hoax. Okay,
nothing
Alex.
That a pot of foraged mushrooms wouldn't hurt to give to poor old like that Clint Eastwood movie, child.
Wow.
Oops.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. That's just really. Lala, you got your ticket ready yet?
I'm already somewhere else. Like I said, when I came back, I was able to catch the show as soon as I got back. And one of the things that, because I pray for clarity all the time and understanding, I really do, and I try to look at things with the right type of eyes. And I had a lot of things going on in my head over there. And as soon as I stepped off the plane back into back into Florida, what did I see? A Confederate flag. And to me, I was like, just sick to my stomach. I literally was sick to my stomach. This dude was on a motorcycle, had the Confederate flag flying. Of course, let's go, Brandon. And basically, it says F Biden. That's what that stands for.
Yeah.
And he had all of these swastikas and stuff all on himself. And the motorcycle was decked out with all that stuff. And I'm thinking, why? Why do I want to feel like I want to fight for a country that never liked us, doesn't care for us, and is not even trying to pretend like they do? So why should I fight? Mm-hmm. Why should I fight and scream and kick and holler for someone who doesn't give a rat's ass about us? And
you're not the only one. That's how I feel the same way. And I also feel that, other countries somehow have mastered and been able to somehow put into place, like adults do, and not jeopardize their free speech. Do actual morons in America think they're the only country with free speech?
Yeah, they do.
We've got free speech. Oh, free speech to stick your finger up your ass and pull it out and say the most nasty shit and then lick it,
I
because
know.
that's your free speech.
And
That's
it's
what
the
we do.
hypocrisy. Look,
It is.
I mean,
Everybody
that's
knows that there's hate
right?
speech, and they've known how to deal with that because they know that what hate speech can arouse. But here, all of a sudden, people who can't even string together two vowels are sitting up here talking to you about hate speech. You know what's so crazy? They have shown these people who have the audacity and caucasity. Never mind. It's not even worth saying it anymore.
Okay.
I just can't stand them, and I'm with you, Lala. I won't fight
Sheila.
for a place.
But
So
you know, the
Sheila,
other thing too is
go
that
ahead.
well, no, the other thing too is that Germany also had free speech at one time, and look what they had to do with that free speech because of what it incited. The United States also really should be practicing something similar because hate speech is what's killing the people in this country. The majority of these kinds of crimes, these mass shootings, are hate directed.
It's moral decency. You're right. I mean, in Germany, you could not just walk around with a swastika on, and to be honest with you, I don't even know if trying to go into the country, unless you hid that shit with makeup, they could actually turn you away at this point because it is against the law. You can have it in your house, but if anybody can see it from the window, from the curb, and they can see what you have in there, I think you go to jail. You can go to jail for 2 years. Sorry,
well,
to interrupt.
Tila says, agreed, Lala. Welcome home, LOL. Oh my goodness, too much. Well, let's move on to our next conversation piece. Native Americans fight for items looted from bodies at Wounded Knee. Aisha, please start on this one, please.
Yeah, I actually saw this. There's a museum in Boston that has a collection of stolen artifacts from Native Americans who were wounded or killed at Wounded Knee. And the tribe want their artifacts back. They want their ancestors' belongings returned to them. And this museum in Boston is fighting them. They're fighting them for something
Why?
that belongs
do they
to
think?
them.
Do they think they own it?
Well, one, because we know it's obviously of extreme value. It talks about early American history, obviously, but remember, it's very similar to what happened in Nazi Germany when the SS was going in and taking and looting all of the homes of the Jewish people that they sent to death camps and selling that. And you find these things on the black market now, and you trace them back, and you learn that these were stolen from Holocaust victims.
Like they've always done.
It's the same thing here. I guess one of the things that they're trying to argue is that because they weren't found on federal reservation lands. But remember, those reservations were drawn at different points in history. Different points in history were drawn by the government. Okay, so the government decided who belonged where,
Right.
not the community itself. And so to say that, because they weren't found on federal reservations, it belongs to, well, the United States, is just absolutely ridiculous. It's like, give these people back what belongs to them and let them preserve their heritage and culture.
It's true.
It's found on their land anyway, period. I don't care what lines you draw.
Right.
You're just a visitor.
It never has been yours. Leave it alone.
And you know what's really terrible is each state has so many different laws in this country. I mean, I think more things should be made federal, like federal laws should be override all state laws, in my opinion. I just really feel that. I think that because now it's just this Jabberwocky. It's like they send things. Let's say you're sending some stuff from Wounded Knee. Also, selling it on the internet. It's not regulated, but it should be, because it should be based upon. They made sure to regulate it for state taxes. So why don't they? I mean, I don't know. There's nothing is being monitored.
But see, federal law does supersede state law. The problem is that these state legislatures.
Then how?
I mean, but they're not
sticking
No, but that's
to
in the
it.
Constitution. That's what I'm just saying.
I know it is, but
but-
my whole point is nobody's listening to it.
Right. But what I was trying to say was
Think
that
about that.
these states themselves have gotten clever in terms of skirting that issue. So rather than saying that the federal government says you can't do this, we're going to go and kind of sidestep it and go around. Because if you look at a lot of the laws, especially in the southern states and the slaveholding states, it's kind of like hopscotch. It's like there's point A and there's point B, but they know that at every turn, the government's going to come at them. And so what do? They hop on the squares that they can to get to the point. And that is what the state governments end up doing. It's kind of like when we think about redistricting. The federal government has a redistricting guideline. However, the states have been so clever in terms of how they nuance their state law so that it kind of steps aside and over.
But this is why nobody believes in the country anymore. I also don't care about the Constitution anymore. It was by a bunch of drunk white men who were crazy as hell with syphilis. And, what do I give a shit? They didn't care. People literally want to go back to the original version of that dumb piece of paper.
Yeah,
that meant nothing for my people. So in my opinion, we need to start all over.
Don't even think about that. Women got put on the back burner.
No, thank you.
And then the women's movement came, but in the women's movement, the black people were still on the back.
Still on the back. So that piece of paper is like, toilet paper to me. It means nothing. And the states and whatever, especially when nobody enforces the damn laws anymore. And everybody think it's a joke that our judicial system is as falling apart and crumbly as it is. I know Merrick Garland just woke up, but bitch, your house is on fire.
Oh, well, he's beginning to do some things, your boy.
It doesn't matter. That's like we're singing, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas in the middle of July. Okay. And, it's like you really need to do something because, did you all see how Trump buried Ivana? Like they buried her in Mar-a-Lago based upon a tax thing. It was for tax purposes to save her property and not. But first of all, think about that. He's still up to his shenanigans. I mean, there's
when has he ever stopped? Come on now.
No, but he has no fear. He has no fear. And
he's never had to be worried about anybody else. Not from day one. So what's going to make him stop? Nothing.
Right, he will just keep the circus going.
Okay, and Cinnamon says a lot of those Native American objects show up on the Antique Roadshow with some frequency.
Yeah,
I think I saw one today actually.
Yikes!
With a lot of amber. There was a carving, and they had a lot of because the natives used a lot of amber. They had real amber. Yeah. And she's probably right because they said, "Oh, we don't know who the artist is of this thing, but we'll say it's such as." But they showed the inclusions inside how amber, whatever it does. So you're probably right. But as far as Wounded Knee, we have never. I mean, every other minority in this country has to look at another one and see how they treated them, and the natives haven't gotten anything
at all.
What makes us think that? What?
But see, that's the thing. The nation always thinks, this is what drives me nuts. Everybody thinks everything is just black and white. No, honey. There's all sorts of shades and shenanigans going in there. It's just not black and white. We've got our Native American brothers and sisters. We have our Hispanic Native American brothers and sisters. It's not always black and white. Everybody wants to make it out just to be two parts, and it's not. Anybody who have any kind of color, you got to get to the
I know.
Sorry. We'll take your ideas.
I mean, there's so many moving parts. When Aisha sent this whole thing about Wounded Knee, I went, oh, damn, because we're dealing with the January 6th. We've got Bannon. We've got all these moving parts.
Yeah.
Trump, Ivana falling down the damn stairs. All of these things. And every day, it's like if we all had a board, we should just do this one day. Have a board, sort of like a crime board. It's really like, it's just like, it would be full of it. If we had one whiteboard full of every injustice that we're dealing with every day, it's no wonder you need a break to get away
You
from
really
it.
can't. You are so before you can even get to address one thing, there's 10,000 other things behind you. So how are you going to be able to get one thing under control when you have so many other things pressing?
I have a question about the Sandy Hook thing, not because I know we're on this one, but how long has it taken for those people to get the trial?
I think they first sued him in like 2010.
Oh
It's
my
been some.
God.
It's oh
The
no, I'm sorry,
pain,
not
the
20, not
pain.
2010. I'm sorry, not 2010. Uh, God, I think this suit went in effect in 2020.
Okay,
But they sued him in lower courts
right.
as well.
And
Okay.
Wounded Knee happened in 70 something,
Well,
80
that's the other thing
something.
about Wounded Knee is that when you really read about it, you realize that it's not that long ago.
Right. When was this? Wait, what am I thinking of in the 80s? There was one that there was a big, was it Wounded Knee?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it actually occurred December 29th, 19. Well, hold on. Well, no. I was looking at something else, so I'm going to keep quiet. I thought I had something.
I know that every decade, I believe, where we go through this, well, it's sort of like an ongoing thing since 1890. It seems,
1890. That was a
and
week.
so it says Wounded Knee in 1973. So there've been ups and downs with the massacre, but the massacre, I believe, was in 73.
That's the second one. I think that's the one they call like the second Wounded Knee.
Right.
Mhm.
So
they had another one prior
because there were the Lakotas, which, I mean, it's just not right. It's just not right what's been going on culturally or any of it. I mean, but we say that all the time about this damn place.
That's the running theme.
Yeah.
The show name. We say
It's
it all
just
the
not
time.
right.
The more we know, the less we understand, you know?
Yeah.
That's what it's getting down to. Let's have another conversation piece. GOP candidate. I just face. I don't even know if I want to.
No, I didn't hear about this.
He's in your circle. He's in your states, like that whole little trifecta of Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. He's all part of that little
I don't think
thing.
he's in Connecticut.
No, he's like part of like he's
the tri-state.
He's just that whole like that's his thing. I don't know what his deal other than being an abject narcissist, but we do know that he is paying the Gab CEO, or the CEO is giving him money. Gab, for that platform that they have where all of them went after Trump at some point, he literally has where he talks about Jews being, thrown into ovens. He praised the guy who shot all those people at the synagogue. Wasn't that in Connecticut? Or was that in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania.
So this whole thing has been overlapping, and then they find out that he has been getting his support financially from the CEO who created the website of Gab, and he is an absolute Nazi, and he a self-professed Nazi. So it's they want to try to discount him for running, but there's no laws for it. You can. You can actually, you would think that in a regular country.
Ran for Senate, so. David Duke ran for Senate. So.
Right. But you would think that after a while you go, this does not serve us in our country. We will not tolerate that. And yet but no, we allow it. That's why everybody who's so happy they think that Matt Gaetz is going to get done on pedophilia. Why? They don't preclude or exclude anybody from doing anything. I watched that Jeffrey Epstein thing today, Victoria's Secret, Angels and Demons. And I'm sorry, when Cindy McCain a couple years ago said everybody knew what Jeffrey Epstein was up to, that was quite the outspoken thing to say. So they all know about these people. So Gab and all these people running for office, but it's frightening, Dr. Vibe, because they're like Pennsylvania is a lone wolf. I mean, they're supporting him, and Dr. Oz too.
Mm.
Dr. Oz from Turkey. Go figure.
Completely berserk. He's a kook.
He's power hungry.
Well,
But, I mean, hell, he look. Hey, come on, let's face it. He saw
Sorry,
other people
I
did it.
still blame Oprah for giving him a major platform.
He saw that everybody else could do it, so why not him?
Yeah, I mean,
Oprah.
Oprah needs to watch who she amplifies.
Yeah, I think he was fine at first. I think he changed. And I think it really changed once he started making money.
Well, Dr. Phil didn't change. He's still the same old redneck.
Well, I know people who know Dr. Vibe. I mean, know Dr. Vibe.
Well, maybe.
Who know Dr. Oz. And it is kind of strange. It's like he became this really weird workaholic and obsessed.
But he was a Democrat up until 2016. That's what's so ridiculous about it. It's funny to me because the Republican Party is filling itself not with true Republicans, but people who were Democrats who find it politically expedient to become Republicans so that they can win elections. That's the same, and the same was true at Donald Trump.
And the same happened in Texas right now with that Maya Flores, who's running against Vicente. We have to stay on top of this because she actually won. She took over someone's seat down in Texas in Galveston or San Antonio. And she's a Mexican American whose family, she's the first. What are you when you're the firstborn of a, right? So she's now the Republican, and she's, going on and talking about how horrible Democrats have been and bloop-de-bloop. And then another blogger called her Miss Frijoles and told her, and they found out that the representative, I don't know if you guys remember, the representative in Congress had been paying for this platform for this blogger to be writing this stuff. Whatever. She is a Miss Frijole, because the thing is, I had to write her today on her page and just say, how dare you? I mean, I'm okay with you choosing to be what party you want to be, but how dare these immigrants who basically get here on legislation that Democrats have pushed and pushed through, which we have, and we do. Yes. So how dare you come here and then want to slag us off and then pretend like you got here in some other locomotive. Right. Bitch, your parents climbed a wall. And now you want to sit here, and we've been fighting for DACA. We've been for DACA recipients, and then you want to come here and flip and then become so high and mighty. Oh, I'm a Republican now because I'm cute and I can, look like a Kardashian. Snap out of it. It's really gross. And it's like, talk about biting the hand that feeds you, because I'm inclined to take all that shit off the table if that's what it keeps turning into. If you come here and you vote against my interests or my young women's interests because, then stay home. Your parents could stay home. They don't need the pipeline. And I won't fight for it anymore at all. Because you better serve and you better fucking recognize who got your ass here, or your family's ass.
Great.
All right. I'm going to add one more conversation topic that wasn't original, but we'll go. How come your president got COVID for a second time?
I don't know.
Well,
here's the first time.
I'm going to say this as someone who's had it, twice. You can't get it twice, obviously, but also during the first time I had it, because Jill was telling me to constantly test to see when it would go away, and I got some false negatives. Like I had a bunch of tests. Like one day I would test and be negative, and so I'm thinking, okay, I'm getting better. 2 days later, it tests positive, and it just depends on the concentration of the fluid in your nasal cavity at the time. Things like whether or not you drink enough fluids or whatever can affect
like that.
if you are a person, if you have it really bad and you're really congested, you're not necessarily going to get any fluid from the nasal cavity. So it really just depends. The tests are not infallible. So it is
Right.
the only thing that will be infallible in terms of a test would be a blood test, and they're not doing that for rapid results.
What about the PCR test?
Well, PCR tests can also yield a false negative.
See, I was telling
The
my
only
husband
thing
that
the
because
only thing that really is a blood test.
he got super sick. You all know.
Yeah.
I was like, it was like 100. Like it was serious, and PCR tests, everything was negative. But I'm telling you, he was just too sick to not know. Like, what the hell is this? You know, it was really, you know,
Because my first PCR test came back negative, and they
Mhm.
reran, and the next day it was positive. So it's like it depends on the test.
Maybe the doctor of Biden's made a mistake then, or had some bad kits.
And remember with the
in his
test,
pocket.
remember with the test that they were so focused on involving the vaccine that once they developed a test, they didn't continue to evolve
it,
test
so it's not picking up this
And
strain.
remember, to catch up with different strains.
Yeah,
They're
that's
doing that with the
probably it.
vaccine, but the testing is lagging. So you're not, you know, he might have had a variant that the test did not
Doesn't
pick up.
recognize. It's just like, because my brother has it right now, and he has been testing for 8 days. So he was hoping to, he has no symptoms right now, like none. Just, but he said, damn it, I'm still testing positive. I was like, okay. So
Wow.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, let's hopefully Joe will get better. And just going back to our last conversation piece, Cinema was saying, yes, same is happening in Florida. These Cubans get here with a lot of privileges, and now they're Republicans.
Yeah, it pisses me off. And I will hope that we ease up on the immigration thing, because they're pushing the agenda,
Yeah.
which is why abortion is getting shut down in these states. And the choice.
What did it say?
I know. Vasectomies prevent abortions. And
Okay.
somebody said there's something else. Women can get their tubes tied, and you can go back in and untie them.
Yes.
But they're not allowing that in some of the states. They're not even allowing that, from what I heard.
Tila's
And it's not always reversible either.
Oh, okay.
Tila's asking, did Biden take any of the approved medications? I don't know.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm pretty
Plavacid
sure
or
he
something.
did.
That was one of the first things that they reported, was that they got him started on a course of medication.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Okay,
if they
family.
didn't, I mean, remember, it's the life of the president, so that's something they're going to do everything they can. They kept that fat bastard alive, so.
Oh, and let me tell you, they sure ain't gonna let Kamala get up there, so they're gonna do everything they can.
Oh, here we go.
Man, you know it. You know that's right. God.
I mean, remember how freaked out they were when Nancy got close to being
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Damn. They
Oh
got
my God.
men in the back with, like, you know, voodoo, everything going on right now. They got everybody, you know, Joe.
Okay,
we're calling on the shaman, right?
The shaman.
Okay, we is done because Jen says great conversation. Yes, we're done.
Oh.
All right, you got it, Jen. As always, want to thank the ladies for hanging out, especially on the Sunday night this time. Usually we do the Saturday night at 9 p.m.
it is
Eastern
Sunday.
time. You didn't know that?
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. No worries. So as always, we ask the ladies to give their contact information first up. It's Lala time.
At Realty Goddess everywhere. That's been branded by me, so that's where you can find me.
Wonderful.
Nice.
Next up, there she
Jill D.
is.
Jones on Twitter, and everybody go out and try to not tune in. Put this down for a bit, you know.
Good idea. Good idea. Good idea. Next up, Aisha K.
Aisha Staggers on Twitter.
Wonderful. And myself, if you want to get a hold of me, there's all different places: website, email, YouTube and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I forgot to add, I am now on TikTok. So
No.
Oh no, it's not a bad thing. It's only highlights from conversations I've done. No,
Okay.
No dancing or anything. No, sorry. None of that stuff's happening. No. That ain't happening. Like to thank everyone for taking their time to hang out with us on a Sunday night. Tila says, great show. And then Cinema goes, it's too soon to finish.
I know.
Don't worry, we're back. We're back in 6 days' time. All right. Can you hang on for 6 days? I hope you can. Cinema says, great week, everybody. Thank you so much. If you want to catch me during the week, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, Monday and Fridays, I host a conversation called The Morning Vibe with Ryan Knight, who is the co-executive director of the African Caribbean Business Network. And actually this Monday, tomorrow, if you're watching this tonight, I have Rosemary Sadler, who was one of the main driving forces for the recognition of Emancipation Day in Canada. It took so long. We just started celebrating it last year, folks. Last year.
Wow.
And then on Friday, we have a gentleman named Wayne Harris who's going to start a series on the first Friday of each month. We're going to do Financial First Fridays. And he'll be talking about different areas of money matters where people like us need to have their stuff in order. Like A, do you have life insurance? B, do you have a will? Those are two things that all of us should have in place, because we've all seen those GoFundMe's for people's funerals. And as I say, a lot of the times too many people are dying with a bill, not a will. That's another conversation. All right. So you can catch State of Things live on Saturdays. This was a little hiccup, but live on Saturdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and Facebook page. And you can watch replays on the YouTube and Facebook page of Dr. Vibe, and also the Dr. Vibe Show website. And also you can catch it now on my LinkedIn page. So we all over the place. So as always, we want to sign off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace. And finally, don't just manage your time. Manage your energy. We will see you on Saturday, family. Hope you have an outstanding week. And we'll be watching on news stories. And follow everyone on Twitter, especially Jill and Aisha. They got enough stuff going on. Believe me. Good night.